Thank you. So, so you need to go private. So I paid the seniorologist. He called me out of my chair, and he looked at me as I walked towards him. He sat me down in his room. He got out what looked like tuning forks and started to bash me. And he said, "You haven't got MS." I thought, "How do you know that?" By hitting my head with a tuning fork. But that's why, bang, bang, bang. He said, "You haven't got motor neurone disease. I'm 99% sure you've got Parkinson's." I said, "How can you be sure?" And he went, "I watched you walk towards me, and I knew." Rigid arm, leg dragging, a bit of foot drop. Apparently I was face masked. He got me to write, and my writing was appalling. And actually, do you know what's funny? I was laughing at this over breakfast with Mark. I'd be giving all these talks, quite a motivational speaker at the time, and people would say, "You've got all this good news. Why do you look so miserable?" And I thought, that's encouraging. I thought I was smiling, but I wasn't, because my face wasn't responding. I didn't realise. All those years I would say, "Well, I'm happy on the inside, but outside I was born in London. What do you expect?" But that was a shock. You know, that day I was on my own. You hear the words progressive, degenerative, totally incurable. Here's the snake oil. You know, here's the levodopa. And so the journey began. Fast forward a bit more. As I said earlier, this time last year I was non-verbal. I am going to attempt something which I ask you to be patient with. I need to give you context. I am going to hold up my phone and see if I can just cut my phone and give a little bit of volume. I'll walk around a little bit. So you've got a snippet of what I used to sound like when I was speaking or attempting to speak. This is a special video for me. This was the day I actually discovered the methodology that would lead to Beech Band. And this
send you video. This is cavalry I made. This is how I talk when I'm really off. I get really stuck in my mouth. I can focus and speak quickly through a few words, and then I'm on the speak.
So that was me when I was off. I was also incontinent. The worst moment for me actually was getting off a train in the centre of London, having just gone to the toilet on the train, done a wee, got off the train and realised I was still going, and just didn't know, and I'm stuck in London. I had very bad insomnia, chronic neurological anxiety, a lot of rigidity, very painful dystonia. I was on nearly a gram of levodopa a day. I was on Rapinol, which actually sent me into psychosis, and I had Madapar dispersibles. I was L-dopa responsive, but it didn't hit my voice. So my other symptoms would tend to clear up, but then it didn't affect my voice, and they were very concerned about that. And the trigger point for me was a neurologist saying, "You are going to lose the ability to speak." I was 51, 52. And the weird and hardest thing for me, that was shattering, because when I was in the taxi the day I got diagnosed, I actually surrendered my life to God, basically. I said, "Look, my life belongs to you. If I'm going to die, I die. No problem. But can you spare my voice and my mind until the day I do? Because I want to tell my kids I love them till the day I die." So when I lost my ability to speak, I was devastated, utterly devastated. Now, there's a purpose for it, obviously. But that set me to try and work things out. Now, this is hard to believe, having told you what my symptoms are like, but I covertly entered a slave mine, a child slave mine in Congo in July 2024 to get evidence of human rights abuse, because kids were getting Parkinson's. Right? So it's like the world's dirty secret. They're mining cobalt that goes in all our lithium batteries, a huge amount of the world's supply. It was very dangerous, nearly got killed a few times. We had a harrowing escape out of DRC. It was, but that was quite exciting, actually. I quite enjoyed that bit. But what wasn't good was seeing kids suffering in the worst and most imaginable kind of ways. I then went immediately on a speaking tour to Australia, which I could barely get off the plane. I was using a stick to get around to cue my walking. I came back, the stress of those two trips tipped me over, and I was extremely unwell. Mark said, see me when I've been well and see me when I've been ill. It was pretty grim, wasn't it? And it was grim. So there I am thinking one night in an armchair on my own, watching Apocalypse Now, which is a film well renowned for peace, calm, and philosophical thought. And eating a bar of chocolate, and it was a gift from above. It was the strangest moment. I'm sitting there in my chair, and it's in a thought. It's very powerful in a thought. So people talk about the dangerous place. Where is the safest place you've ever been? And then I immediately thought my mother's room. No one chased me for income tax. No one chased me to do the washing up or tidy my sock drawer. You know, it was a safe place, warm and comfortable. Then I had this thought, well, that's interesting. If that's the safe place, what does the baby feel in the room that would keep the baby calm? Because although babies start to know the time to come out, they're wriggling out apparently, they're not punching their way out, desperate or clawing in panic. So I thought maybe the baby's feeling something in the room. What is it? Well, it's the mother's heartbeat. Most people think a calming heartbeat is about 50 beats a minute. But when I looked up what's the baby feel in the third trimester, it's about 80 to 95 beats a minute or thereabouts. 84 to 92, I think, is the precise averages. I thought that's interesting. That was a stunning thought that night. And in the backdrop, I'd had two other thoughts. One was about queuing. Now, queuing you probably all know about. Anyone here not know what queuing is? Right, one person. Okay, so we lose the autopilot. So you can't do automatic things like walk forwards because that's automatic. But you can walk backwards like Michael Jackson because that's not automatic. So our autopilot's been degraded in all kinds of ways. So they teach you queuing. So what I would do is look for lines in the ground. Now there's a line. So tell me where to put my leg. You do it in all kinds of ways. I did it for speech. Draw a grid on a bit of paper, point to the square to speak. But there's a problem. It makes you look and sound like C-3PO or Star Wars. So I thought, I don't like that. That can't be my life. That can't be it. So I've been experimenting. I got the stick from a charity shop and I used to tap the stick in front of me to guide my leg, throw it out in my leg. I noticed something. When the stick tapped the floor, the vibration through my arm had more impact than where I put the stick. So I started to experiment with it, just tapping it beside me at different speeds. And I found that just by doing that, I could walk normally. I thought, this doesn't make sense. How's that happening? And the other thing I did was anxiety. I used to have these terrible meltdowns. You can see now, I'm my normal self now. But when I was hypersymptomatic, I could not have walked into this room. I couldn't have gone into Starbucks. I panicked due to the damage to my brain. And I literally, one time, I'm feeling sick and I'm sweating and I want to cry and curl up in a ball outside a coffee shop. So I saw a little old lady outside who looked friendly, and I went over to her, Parkinson, help. And she held my hands and gave me a squeeze and said something nice to me, and I felt the anxiety go. So being an analytical sort, as you can tell, I thought, that's interesting. So the next time I felt the anxiety, I had an elite attack dog, a Cavapoo, called Douglas. Never look him in the eye. But I picked him up and he licked my neck and I gave him a squeeze and I felt the anxiety go. The next time, another rough guy like me called Nathan, or Nate, he was standing near me and I went, Nathan, hug me. He went, what? Hug me. And at this moment, it still chokes me up. He pulled me in and he whispered in my ear, I've got you, mate, you're going to be all right. I've got you. So I knew what was happening. Still movement. And at that moment, I felt the anxiety lift off my shoulders. So I thought there's something in human contact and touch. So that night in my armchair, watching the attack helicopters and the missiles and the mayhem and the murder while eating a double-decker chocolate, so I thought, what if I tap myself at the mother's heartbeat, mate? But so long that it's not for me. It's not a queuing signal for me. It passes my conscious thoughts to my brain. So I thought, why am I queuing myself? Get this to the brain. So that night, I just did this. Now, I've been experimenting with syllable beating. check because the back here, like that helped to a degree. But that night I took the stick method and just doing this for about an hour. And after an hour, I opened my mouth. The first words I spoke fluently were when I tap, I could speak. And I was off my chair sobbing on my knees. Because it was the first time in an off state I'd spoken fluently. And even on an on state, I could barely speak. So I did it again. And I actually did spell Czechoslovakia. And the only reason is I won a school competition when I was 8 for spelling it the fastest. So I went CZD, CHOSLOVA, KIA. But wow, how did I do that? And I got out of my chair, just like this, and I started on my leg, and I walked around, and I was completely fluent. I looked in the mirror, and I was smiling again. I had a face mask in it on. So I phoned up Q. Help me build a device. And the reason it's called Beech Band is that I had a rubber band that had a, you know, like a magnet in it for a locker. Dig that out, put a mobile phone haptic in it, line it up with a battery pack, set it for this particular beat, which hertz. I'll tell that later. So turn it to this particular hertz. He built it in 3 days, sent it through the post. I put it on, got on a video call, and I'd relieved from multiple symptoms. And we knew we were onto something. So we built 31 prototypes of what a Q did from 3D printers. And then we perfected those as best we can. And we let people know, and we offered them for sale, 1,500 first devices. They sold out in hours. And then we started getting the feedback. Let me tell you, that was a moment when you're sending out a new idea and you think, are people going to blow up? You know, is this going to work? What's going to happen? But actually, we started to get stunning feedback. And here's where we're at today. And then I'll tell you what my current situation is, syndrome-wise. There's around 51,000 devices out there in 9 months. The efficacy rate, the rate of success for people with Parkinson's, but across syndrome, is about 75%, higher than many meds for multiple symptom relief. We've surveyed 3,000 people. The stats are the same all the time. Tech review guides, stats the same. Everywhere we go, we're finding the same statistics, which suggest a very stable pattern. But there's an anomaly. Well, not an anomaly, there's an encouragement. For people who wear the device the way we describe, and we have changed our device over time, as we've learned, the efficacy rate grows to 85%. 7 days a week, 7 to 9 hours a day, long term, then we see some quite remarkable results. In fact, we've now had inquiries and working with people from progressive supranuclear palsy societies, Alzheimer's, dementia. We've seen it impact people with MSA, autism, Asperger's, migraine, stroke, brain bleeds, brain tumours. Of all this footage, NHS National Health Service rehab units inviting us in. We're seeing stunning stuff. 25% of people who put the device on have an immediate impact. 25%. 50% within 24 hours. And the rest, broadly speaking, after 70 days, multiple symptom relief. People who wear it in the way we describe are getting 11 plus symptoms under control, which is stunning. And there are a bunch of people heading in the direction that I'm heading. It doesn't help everyone. Not yet, at least. We know that. 25%, it doesn't seem to help. Although we do think when we spend focused time with people, we're getting that rate much, much higher. We give free webinars, as many as you want. We do even do free one-to-one help with people who need it. I run small groups myself and the webinars because we actually genuinely care. This is a patient-led innovation. The reason it's cheap is because we didn't take in millions of pounds or dollars from venture capital funds so that we launched as a medical device from the get-go. What we wanted to do is go on a patient journey as a community and develop a device in tandem with people's feedback so that we kept the cost low. So it's a wellness device. We don't make medical claims in advertising. I'm quite happy to talk about the reality in the small closed groups. That's perfectly legitimate. We don't advertise on the basis of great claims about Parkinson's. We have a thing called the Medical Health Regulation Authority in the UK who have been brilliant with us, actually, and they gave us some guidance, and they have a blacklist of words that we can't use. And it's every single symptom in Parkinson's. But there's one thing that they didn't have on, 2 words actually. They didn't have the word brain, and they didn't have training or regulation. So we call it a brain training device. Damn it. It's a brain training device, and it's nervous system regulation. We've got theories as to why it's working. Here's the lowdown. I had a DAT scan 3 years ago, and it showed bilateral lack of use of dopamine. Very hard for a DAT scan to actually show how much dopamine you've got, apparently, but it measures whether the terminals are using it well or not. That's what a lot of people don't understand. They don't actually know how much you've got, but they can see that the terminals are picking it up, and mine was low. There's about 30% of people misdiagnosed with Parkinson's in the UK. So when I was boshing around like Tigger, they said, we need to give you another DAT scan. So I had another DAT scan on the 17th of December, and that showed that the disease has progressed markedly. I shouldn't be like this. And yet I've just been unprescribed all meds. I've been symptom-free for 9 months and free of medication since I started using the Beech Band after 9 months of use. I'm 18 months into the journey, and I do not present with Parkinson's. And I'm not alone. There's a number of people who are 13, 14 months in who are the same and saying the same sorts of stuff. Here is the journey, and then I'll take questions. When I first started using it, I felt immediate relief from walking, speech, and not tremor. In fact, my tremors got worse. And during the first 9 months of using it, I also developed cervical dystonia, which is a terrible symptom where my neck used to fit to one side like this, and I couldn't speak or pretty much feel my body. I was going down the hill, but I was only using the Beech Band 10 minutes at a time because neurologists told me my brain would train out the impact. Like blue light glasses, way too much, stop working. I didn't think he was right because this is a subconscious signal. I say you've got to be, the person who wears it is like the person who lives by the train tracks, and those trains thunder past and the house shakes and you hear all the noise, but they get so used to it, they don't hear it anymore. That's what you do with the Beech Band. If you're constantly looking at it, and thinking about it, or trying to use it as a cueing device, it will not work. But once it's in your subconscious thoughts, that's when the magic happens. And I said, I don't think the brain will habituate it, but I was so scared that I would and I'd lose the impact. I used it 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. So a 3-hour battery life wasn't a problem. It lasts days. But when I got really ill and I still had relief for speech and stuff, not as good as it is now, it was a journey. I put it on all the time. And Mark was with me during this journey. They saw me at my worst in the office. I got better in 2 weeks. I've got video to the transformation and video of me messaging my friends, utterly bewildered. I got well so quick it actually traumatized me. I felt guilty. I pulled every muscle in my body from suddenly going mental doing stuff. And I felt rotten, actually, for a while. It was so traumatic suddenly being well. I know it sounds odd, but it just really, really hit me. But I was well in 2 weeks. So I took the device off and I went 2 weeks without meds. In the control grade neurologist, I went 2 weeks without meds, 2 weeks without Beech Band, and my first ever symptom came back. Shoulder pain, dystonic tremor. I thought, that's interesting. First ever symptom. So I put the Beech Band back on for 2 weeks, and then I went 5 months medication symptom free. I had a twinge of a little bit of shoulder pain, flush in my leg, put the Beech Band on. That was on the day of my second DAT scan. Couldn't make it up, could you? I was sitting there with my girlfriend. Oh man! Anyway, so I put the Beech Band on for a week or so. That came off on the 2nd of January, and it was only the mildest twinge of a symptom, and I've been symptom free ever since. The only symptoms I've experienced were on the flight over and shortly after the flight. 2 long flights, long days in Ubers, a slight pain in my muscle, and a little flutter in one leg. But that could be the fact I'm 54 and travel, so I don't know. But I'm here without the Beech Band on, and you can see what I'm like. My neurologist has said, he just looked at me and he went, "You're normal again." No one's ever called me that before. So that's the journey. There will be loads of gaps in that story, but feel free to bring me questions. Mark will help me answer them if they become businessy or whatever. But that's where I'm at. What a journey. And now the mission is to build and continue to build a values-driven company, low cost, affordable, building devices that work, that are simple. We don't need Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and all of this stuff when you put a device on. You want to put it on and it works. That product is under development, and the apps are now out for Apple and Android that do exactly the same thing, but it's to give you options on a subscription model.
You should mention the foundation as well.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Yeah, so we also, from the start, patient-led, patient-invented, affordable at end point for everyone. And also the 25% of our profits go towards cure research and relevant charities. So we're just in the process of setting up the Beech Band Foundation, which so 25% of the profits gets rechanneled into free bands for those who can't afford it, into supporting Parkinson's and neurological charities, and also to fund the sort of cure research, which Big Pharma doesn't fund because it doesn't involve pharmaceuticals. So our long-term vision is to get 1 million of these bands in the next year on people's wrists, and 1 million Beach Buddy apps buzzing away all around the world.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.
Yeah, in my view, when I was diagnosed, you had two options. You either crawl under a rock, or you try and punch it in the face as many times as possible. And what I started saying to people is, I'm going to go down punching you hard. And I punched it hard, and now it's at my feet, and my fist is still drawn back. And we're going to try and beat this disease. And maybe we found a pathway to something beautiful. It's a highly effective therapy at the moment. We're going through medical certification processes. We're just giving it our best shot. Questions?
That would be brain stimulation.
Yeah, so if you've had the brain stimulation surgery, you can still use the device, but always speak to a clinical team. But we've not had an example yet of someone being told not to use it, and I've got lots of video footage of people who still had issues after DBS where in tandem with the device, it's been extremely helpful. They've recovered more ground. And there have been people who've not gone forward for DBS after trying the Beech Band because it's been as effective, believe it or not. And a lot cheaper.
My husband has it already. We found it on blog. It lasts 8 hours. Have you made any that last longer? Because once the 8 hours is over, I noticed he starts shaking again. So I told him he needs to get a second one. So I can put it on when the other one's out. On the other thing, during the day, gets slower, but at night, he doesn't shake anymore when he sleeps.
Right, and that's a very important point. There are two very important points. I'll take through. So first one, how long does the device last? What to do about that, and what are our plans about that? And the second one, after he's had it on, seems to be a lot stiller. There's a reason for that, and it's going to encourage you. So the first one, we are working on a device that's going to have a lot longer battery life. Do you want to speak to that?
So the Beech Buddy, the basic one, I don't know. Yeah, so if you get 8 hours, that's remarkable because they usually last 3 to 4 hours. So you've got a lucky one. Yeah, so a lot of, so no, if you have it takes 45 minutes to charge. So it's absolutely fine. You don't have to have 7 hours in a row.
And the other thing is, I'm Native American, Mayan Indian Native American. When he first started getting it and he would shake a lot, I have him lay on the bed and I cuddle him. Beautiful. And he would relax.
Lovely.
So I started with my daughters, a health spa that does all energy. Everything is done with the earth's energy. The rooms, the beds, everything, when he's having a hard time, he comes in and there's an energy bed he lays in and it tunes him to the earth because that's how I was raised, to tune to the earth. Well, I started my health spa 6 months ago and it really seems to help him.
Yeah, so this is part of the jigsaw, holistic living, cutting out stress, good diet, good exercise, all part of it. We want to write something about that actually. But can I answer the second question you had, which was about stillness at the end? That's really important. We are developing a device that will have 8 hours by the way for everyone to be splash proof, dust proof. That will come out as we're able to develop it. It'll still be low cost. But what your husband is experiencing is what I call residual benefit. I'm going to do this quickly as I can. When I first started wearing it, it was like I'd been hit by a ton of bricks when I turned it off because my body went into shock. I had symptom relief and I was like, oh! I say to people, when you first start wearing it, if you're using it for walking, sit down when you turn it off because it can be a shock. After 6 months of use, a few months use, my normal symptoms would return without that shock impact. But after 6, 7 months, I noticed something. The device would go off, it ran out of charge, or I'd turn it off, but it was as if it was still on. I got 30 seconds to a minute of clear speech, or I could walk for a minute or two, absolutely normally, and then it would all come back. I call it residual benefit. It's an indication of perhaps nervous system re-regulation. And what happened to me and what's happening to many others is that those seconds go to minutes, to hours, to weeks, to days, to months. As far as I'm aware, it's the first device that has stickability of inaction in your nervous system or body after it's come off. And that's why I'm like this, I think. but then the slippage occurs, getting the device back on. So this is all a matter of investigation. I better take a question for another person, if that's okay.
How about, you said it helps with sleep, but how about people with RBD,
Oh,
REM sleep behavior disorder?
oh yeah, so definitely. So people who wear the device REM sleep disorder, which include me, here's how I know it helps. They start dreaming again. And they start experiencing restorative sleep. But here's the rub. So if you've got bad insomnia, REM sleep disorder, do not wear it through the night unless you dislike your partner. And I'll tell you why. Because when it runs out of charge, our devices currently there'll be a slight creep back of charge on the battery and it will start again at 3 in the morning. So you'll all be sleeping peacefully in bed, having nice dreams, and suddenly you get next to you. So don't wear it for sleep. But if you wear it, what I've noticed is if you wear it for 2 hours before you go to bed, then that will help your sleep. And there are loads of people reporting that, including my partner who has juvenile onset Parkinson's and REM sleep disorder, sleeps like a log and dreams again.
So my wife has sleep issues. She hasn't got Parkinson's, but maybe she doesn't like me because she does wear it through the night. The only thing I find is occasionally it gets between her ankle and the mattress, and then the whole bed turns into a beach band.
It's a hot tip actually. If you don't wear it and put it between the mattress and the base, the whole bed's going. Great.
Anyway,
Beach band mattresses is our next thing, isn't it?
dogs, horses,
Dogs,
mattresses.
Parrots. Yeah.
What is the purpose of, it beeps constantly, and then when it's just going down, then it starts to hit 13 beats, and then.
Right. So if it's running out of charge,
Okay,
yeah, it's just indication it probably needs charging. So some of them behave differently. It just gets fainter and fainter on more actually as that motor's struggling to be driven.
I find I'm counting them,
Oh, right.
which is
Well,
beneficial.
So then
It
we
is-
charge it.
yeah, the best thing to do is try and ignore it as best you can. So as you start to notice it, because it's the pattern's changed, that's the time to take it off and put it on charge. The options are you can have spare one, so one on charge, one on your wrist, or the app is a backup.
So my son uses it. We use it with a smartwatch, the compatible Samsung is, I think. So we have the big trifecta with him. He's on the autism spectrum,
Okay.
cerebral palsy, and young onset Parkinson's.
Oh.
We have a party at my house all the
Yeah.
time. So one of the things we have noticed though, by using, I think the alternate watch band, is that like, if I call him, because the watch will answer the telephone, if he's sitting right beside each other, that then the watch stops buzzing. Because he lives in a group home, I'm aware that, oh, his watch has stopped buzzing.
Yeah.
The staff there are not always aware, and he's not always gonna tell them that, hey, my watch stopped buzzing. Is there an update that we could do?
Yeah, so
that-
there
or-
are, is this an
or-
Apple Watch? Is that-
It's not an Apple Watch,
Okay.
it's a Samsung.
So
So
this is the old app. This isn't the old app.
Yeah, so there's a new version. Yeah.
Okay,
So I'd advise you to get on the Google Play Store.
Yeah.
It's on a subscription model. There's a deal for the first few months. It's like $5 a month after the first few months, but that's worked around. That was a very basic first attempt that Q
Right.
wrote. He taught himself how to code Android over Christmas. So the latest one, we've actually hired a developer in, and it's more sophisticated with ongoing development. So,
okay, awesome, thank you.
So it's the Beach Buddy.
Well,
rather
Beach
than-
Buddy.
So search Beach Buddy
Okay.
on the Google Play Store and you'll see it.
yeah, question. I'm trying to look at all that stuff.
At church this morning and walked me here to space. It was the first time I'd ever heard that you have kind of an upgraded version with an app and things that monitor. Can you please talk about that a little bit to our group? 'Cause I don't think that we're aware of that as a possibility.
Okay, so there's two apps, one for Apple, one for Android, and they just search for Beach Buddy on either the Play Store or the App Store. They're on a subscription model with a discount for the first few months. The latest device is the 100D, which is the only one we ship to America. It's the ones that got a green charge light, but it's fully charged red as it's charging, and it's quieter than the other devices. It's not splash proof or dust proof yet. We're working on a device for later this year that will have all of those elements put in with a longer battery life. The app is a game changer, I think, for many people. It works exactly the same action as the Beach band device. But personally, if I could afford a smartwatch, I would get one and I'd use it as a backup. And you know, if you're going out for an evening, like ladies, you want to wear a nice dress, you know, the device makes you look like you're wearing a prison tag if you put it on your ankle. So that's another option for you. And also, you know, if you're out and it's run out of charge, you've got it there. A snag for some of you, on Apple, the way that Apple designed their app usage, you cannot run two apps actively at the same time. It has to be an exercise vibration, otherwise it will shut off when your hand goes down. So you can't track your exercise while you're using it. But what I say to people is, hey, Beech Band gets you moving again, you know, for a few dollars a month. The workarounds on it would mean you can only run for 20 minutes to half hour at a time, but we are trying to work around that and find a way. But the other answer is you have a Beech Band device, you can still use your Apple Watch to track the exercise. It's never straightforward, but that's essentially where we're at the moment.
Yeah, so the app beachbuddy.org is the website. So beachbuddy.org. It's if you haven't heard of it, we literally launched it on Monday this week. So
It's also on Monday.
so if you haven't heard it before, that's no one had until Monday.
On the Apple Watch version, is there any special version of the watch that you need to have or special software?
No, so it works on
iOS
any
10.
latest iOS update.
iOS 10 upwards. So yeah.
And but there's a list on beachbuddy.org of every compatible device.
You just have to have the exercise app.
And Android Watch, you need to have exercise.
No, you don't. It's an alternative. But what we're finding is that. But what I found is that for most people, it's an additional option. So you know, the device could be a backup or the app. One thing to be mindful of: if you're used to using a smartwatch for lots of other things, it's going to run that battery down faster. So we're just trying to give you options basically, and eventually in time we'll look at trying to get onto other smartwatch devices, whether it's a Garmin or whatever. But it takes time. Yeah.
As you guys are been that it's growing and expanding, especially for the parking community. One thing that we've heard from some of the users here in our center are the challenges with putting it out. Do you have any?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, right, let me tell you something. So, this is a common thing. This is an Apple Watch strap. Because we're patient-led, including myself, when we chose this one and I didn't have fine motor control, there's a technique. And once, everywhere I go, once I've shown the technique, they say never work with animals, children, or Apple Watch straps publicly. So I'll tell you, once you've got the technique, it's actually pretty straightforward. That said, very soon we'll be shipping for just a few dollars more, another strap in the box as well. So you have options. And we're constantly looking to try and innovate. No strap seems to solve the problem. Some people put the Velcro on or it cuts into me. Some people like the softness of this one. Other people say I want a buckle back. So here's the technique. Do you want to see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you come in front of the camera?
Oh, I don't want to be exposed. Here we go. So this is how. Hi everybody. This is how you do the Apple Watch strap. What you can't see, I'm moving so fast. I've actually stolen 3 people's Rolexes. You just hold it there, you put it underneath, and then you pop it in the hole. And now it's actually, if you press down hard, that will actually now stay on. And then you keep the thumb on it, and you just tuck it into the slot like that. That's faster than the buckle. Do you want to see it again? I move so fast. All you do is this. Here we go. Dangle it on your wrist, fold it underneath, pop it through a hole once you've found one, keep your thumb on it, and then tuck it through.
Yeah.
Once you've got that, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Once you've done that, that was all AI, CGI. But once you can actually, even if you're frustrated and you desperately need to get that on, all you need to do is to find the hole and press it, and it will actually stay on. If you're desperate and you're finding it hard to do it, it's the fastest and quickest strap once you know how to do it. And we did put instructional videos online. Ta-da!
Yeah, so from 1st of April, they'll be dispatched with an elasticated strap. separately in the box, because some people prefer that, particularly if you want to put it on your ankle, which a number of people do.
Oh, yeah, I take that question now. Let me just talk about where to wear it, actually. Yeah.
Just have it on one side, so which side is better to wear it on?
Brilliant question. Where do you wear the beach band? So let me give you the lowdown. This is latest understanding after talking to hundreds, if not thousands of patients, doing all the webinars and stuff. With Parkinson's specifically, 'cause it's not always the same for other conditions, with Parkinson's, normally starts on one side, spreads to the other side. The side that you are most symptomatic on, if the band is going to work on that side, which is only about 10% of people anecdotally, do a quick check. If you have an upper limb tremor on this side, if you put it on this side, this hand shaking, put it on that side, you may have instant or very rapid de-escalation of the symptom. It may even resolve. That's only in 10%. If that happens, stick with it. If it amplifies the tremor or amplifies your rigidity or nothing happens after just like 15, 20 minutes, take it off. Don't be alarmed if it amplifies the tremor. Don't panic. Take it off and pop it on the opposite side, because for 90% of people, it works on the opposite side, but it's good to do a quick check. Now, some people have found it doesn't work on either wrist, but they've found that on the ankle, you know where your ankle bone is? Check my balance out, ladies and gentlemen. So you wear it above the ankle, about an inch above the ankle, and then you just go back about to 4 o'clock or 8 o'clock and wear it there. There seems to be better nervous system pickup from that part. But here's the other one. There is a Parkinson's nurse with Parkinson's on the UK who tried both ankles and both wrists. It didn't work. One day she felt inspired. She took the straps off and tucked it down her bra on the opposite side to her symptoms, had instant resolution of all her tremors. Now, I've repeated that advice multiple times. I haven't said, let me put that down your bra. I've got a girlfriend. I'm very happy. I said, could you just go off screen on Zoom calls and webinars? Can you take the straps off, pop it down your bra and come back on? And we have one lady, been in 3 of my small groups, multiple webinars. She was desperate, very intelligent lady, very analytical, which will not going to be an issue because they're constantly thinking about it. But she went off screen, she took the straps off, popped it down the bra, and she had bilateral resolution of tremors instantaneously. Wow. And I've seen that multiple times. Bottom line is this: don't start on the wrist, move to the ankle, try other places. And there was a woman on TikTok. Do you want to talk about the woman on TikTok? Because that was crazy.
With FND. She's a well-known, she's very young. She's sort of 18, 19. It's about 120,000 people follow her. And her FND was manifesting in her throat, in her voice. She wears it on a silk ribbon around her neck. So when it's here, she speaks clearly, perfectly. And then unfortunately, her device was a bit of a faulty one. It went wrong. She was distraught, crying on a thing saying, I can't speak, my beach band's not working. So we sent her another one and she's happy and well. So actually on some migraines on the position of pain. So just experiment.
So we had a lady in Cleveland who had MSA and she had really bad trouble with her neck. And the beach band was helping her a little bit with speech and balance. And I held one on the back of her neck. You could just see it, couldn't you? Like her neck just started to loosen up, she was moving it more. And I don't not understand what's happening. I've got theories as to why it's working, strong theories, but it was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, there's a question over here.
I was saying with that, do you have any innovation to attach a pendant thing where you can attach, they could attach it to their clothing or whatever?
So basically, what I've discovered is that it has to have a good nervous system pickup. Now, when I was walking, when this started off with me discovering the frequency and walking out the street, what's happening. So that's before we manufacturing devices go. And I realized from my own symptoms, I could just briefly brush the back of my hand or almost the hairs of my arm as lightly as possible, the right frequency, and I had symptom relief. It's important that the skin picks it up. You can have a layer of material underneath. Say you've got paper thin skin and you bruise easy, you can put a little barrier, some material, that will help. But as soon as you block skin contact, it's an issue. I mean, I started to think, what if we can get the battery technology and the haptic technology to have disposable daily pads, these pads. You can wear discreetly. There's all sorts of things we can do. Clothing could work. Maybe if it's on the inside, maybe a ring, maybe even earrings.
We wonder with the stern whether you get a lot of echoing. If
Yeah, oh,
it's your
that's a good
ribcage, so
point.
that may not work so well.
The sternum, it radiates like the sensation through your body. It's overwhelming. And also, if you wear it and it hits a bone, you almost imagine noise. Like this thing's noisy, but it's not. And one person said, "This thing's crazy noisy." And when they got on a Zoom call with me, they just put it on metal straps. The whole thing was going.
People online ask if the app is showing as good a result as the band itself is. Like, are you having similar
So,
results?
yeah. In the year or whatever that we had the trial one, yes, and there's no reason why it's early days, right? Because we launched it on Monday. In trials and tests, exactly the same. If you fiddle with the amplitude on your watch, then it might be variable because people might be overstimulated or they're too noticeable. It might take time for it to get right, but there's no reason why it shouldn't be the same. We'll know once we start to get the data, but so far, anecdotally, the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive. It's exciting, actually.
Is it sensitive to extreme heat or cold?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you put it in the freezer, you might start.
Well, no, yeah.
No,
but
I mean-
can you wear it in sauna?
No,
It's
It's a lithium battery. In the instructions, we do say the range. I think it's -5 to 45. It's something like that. I
Yeah.
can't remember the exact, but it's a lithium
Yeah.
battery. So, I mean,
got vents on it. So if you
you
look here,
wouldn't take an Apple phone into the sauna.
so if
would
you
you?
look, because
It's- well,
got these vents on
They
it,
would say don't. But,
there's places where water getting in the sauna. I've destroyed 5 of my own devices by forgetting they want to put my hand in my aquarium. It's really annoying everyone. I'm a pufferfish, I need my attention. So I put my hand up, I forget it's on. But if you drop it in a puddle, it could be a problem. Now I know that's an issue. So we're looking at waterproof USB, a hoodie over it, and extreme to temperature it applies to any lithium battery. If you're going to go out in extreme weather, then it could be an issue, I'd say.
People who are in our group that have had the watch or whatever, the device for a long time, how has it worked for you?
The question was, if you've had it for a long time, does anyone want to call out if it's, well, hands up those who it's helped. Quite a number. So our stat is this, as I said, well, let me tell you an anecdote, sorry, an actual story. We had a person with advanced Parkinson's who's in end-of-life care in a home. This actually story's been repeated out a few times. They were non-verbal, immobile, and family put a Beech Band on and he immediately gained the ability to say a couple of words and move about in the bed. Nothing more changed for 16 weeks, nothing. So they were going to take it off him. He asked them to leave it on. I think it was something like after 24, 26 weeks, he got out of bed, went home and joined an art class. So my own journey when I was doing it, I had it on for 13 months. And I want to encourage you to stick with it because there were times in that 13 months I felt no improvement. There were times I was going downhill. But I kept going with it. I backed myself basically. And then people say, well, maybe you got such a great life. Well, it's not. My wife left me for 30 years because I had Parkinson's in the last year. My divorce is going through. I was homeless for a few weeks because she took everything off me. I lost everything. I was not having a good time when I got better. Right, so it wasn't about dopamine boost. Let me tell you, I was at the end of myself. And I was in psychosis for the funeral for some of it. So stick with it. I got better after 13 months.
So I would encourage you as well, if you're on Facebook, I appreciate not everyone is on Facebook. There's a Facebook Beech Band community group, which has just over 15,000 members in it now. It's growing every day. And people share their stories. Because it's a private group, people can share. We're not breaching any advertising regulations because it's not in public. but there people share stories, ask questions, encourage each other. It's a really positive environment. So I'd really encourage you if you just want to get a sense of people's experience with it, so join the Facebook Beech Band community group.
Danny.
Danny's right here. Tell him.
Danny,
That's, yeah, name is Dan Weinert, diagnosed, November 24. Stephanie got me one, that's that one,
Ordered it in November when you guys put them on sale.
Great.
December maybe.
Took a week to get it done.
The first time I had it on, I got 10 things done that I've been trying to get done for about the last 3 years. That letter I needed to write, that person I needed to call, that old bill that's still there, just 10 things that I really need to take care of. I did them all that day. That day, I'm like, wow, that totally, I mean, wow, this thing is pretty powerful here. Stephanie said my voice is better when I'm on it. I'm straighter when I'm on them.
Yeah, it's common actually. Posture change is common.
Things I didn't really notice, she did. And that feedback helped me make adjustments accordingly.
He came up to me and he said, "You're getting shorter." I said, "No, you're standing tall." So I could see him in the house, and we had like a little ring camera at home, and if he didn't have it on, you could see him walk like this. And I'll look at him, I said, "Do you have your big fan on?" I'm like, "No," I'm like, "Put it on." Yeah, I can just tell, just looking at it.
Tell from across the room if I have it on or not.
That's remarkable.
I have a woman that I work outside of here with MS, and she's had some cognitive things on. So
Yeah.
we bought it, and she thought I was putting a watch on her. She has a lot of tardive dyskinesia, so her face, within just a few moments, she just went licking her lips. So she had no idea what it was, or no placebo, it was just, from very big movements to just slight. I want to know, how does that help with Alzheimer's, or what have you seen with Alzheimer's and autism?
So autism, I can say anecdotally what we hear. So we get called in by different societies because lots of people contact them saying this is helping. Lots of feedback, the children stop stimming and people feel calmer and more centered because ADHD and autism. Certainly stop seeing, kids screaming and having tantrums. There are reports of children, we get parents emailing us saying, I've got this son or daughter I never had before. Which is amazing. In terms of Alzheimer's and
Shall I read this one?
actually let's just read it.
So this is 1 hour ago. 1 hour ago, this appeared on our Facebook community. A lady called Reveal Allen. My 80-year-old husband was officially diagnosed last October with advanced vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease. The scan showed extreme brain atrophy, or extensive brain atrophy. He was struggling to hold a cup, struggling to get a fork in his mouth without dropping the contents. His balance for walking was all over the place. On 23rd December, his beach band arrived. We live in France. Within 1 hour of wearing it, he was able to hold his own cup. I was absolutely blown away watching the change in him within just hours. It's now mid-March, and he's still feeding himself properly, holding cups, walking, and has even been able to play the piano again. I tell you, we always feel it, it's just every day we get these, and every time it's so moving. Obviously, other things have deteriorated, memory, etc. But the beach band has given him back so much dignity and independence. It's absolutely wonderful. And it goes on. So that was an hour ago in France, and here we are in Kansas.
We've had people with dementia say they've recovered memory, brain fog's gone. People with Alzheimer's, the Alzheimer's Society, one of the directors got in touch with, came up to in tears at a neurological conference. And he said people are stopping screaming when they wear it and they're calm. I'm speaking, when I get back, the day after I get back, I'm going to the National Tremor Society National Conference to speak alongside 2 neurologists, because this thing is resolving tremor almost more than any other thing that's out there.
There's a question over here, then over there.
Yeah. I know, cerebral or ataxia, which is very, very similar things. Have you seen any patients with cerebral or ataxia wear it?
Yeah, I have actually. And a ataxia, definitely, I've got a friend actually who's seen quite marked symptom improvement. In summary, what we seem to be seeing is if it's in the substantia nigra part of the brain, in the basal ganglia, then it seems to have an impact. Even the form of dyslexia that's in that region of the brain affects the eye. So like the eyes vibrate, so that people can't focus on the words. It stops it dead instantly. But other forms of dyslexia aren't, which is helping us manage. So if it's in that region of the brain, aside from MS, the stimulation of the nerve coating, it helps that. So maybe there's an action there they're not yet aware of. But yes, like Huntington's, there's advanced therapies coming out for Huntington's, but we've seen people regain balance. Basically across the board, with the same efficacy rate of around 75%.
And we offer 100-day money back. So you kind of go, it's worth trying,
So did you bring larva watchers?
We've got some for you to try, yeah. We need to be taken around to other cities. They're available to buy in the US, but we're bringing samples with it so you can have a go after the session.
Yeah, but you buy it through the website. We can't, because of import rules.
We're doing a special deal, 1 for 100, 2 for 200. How's that?
Just to follow up on Dave's question, does this help with focus and getting your brain to focus on what you're doing?
Yeah, and that's particularly why the app is good, because if you're like a smartwatch user, you're in that sort of environment, you just click it on, it helps you focus. Yeah, it does. So people tell us repeatedly, particularly ADHD, it just helps me tune in. Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Eliminates brain fog.
Can I ask this guy first? It's been waiting.
Well, thank you for coming, speaking of this today, I appreciate it.
Thanks,
But
man.
I have a question, are you currently taking any medications or did
No,
you?
nothing.
Zero.
Yeah, I've been off meds for 9 months.
Hey, do you wear your beach band?
None.
Yeah.
Not really. I wore it for 2 hours after the flight. I've worn it for the sum total of maybe a few hours a day for a week when I came out of the second band scan and I got a symptoms back. That's it. Now I've got theories to why that is, and I'm happy to talk about that once people. But I think there's brain frequency slippage issues.
Once again, thank you for.
Pleasure. But I am not alone. I'm medication free, everybody. And symptom free from Parkinson's.
So I think we were meant to stop at 12. There's a class, is that right?
You just stole my punchline. No, it's a big punchline. Remember, he's very chill all the time. He does it all the time.
Tell me good, and I don't, if you still have time, I'd like.
Yeah, we've got time. We've just got to get to Wichita. Stop.
Planning to do new rock study or new weights, I'm sorry, we will adjust the time so that you will still get a workout. But let's go at least 15 more minutes,
Okay.
to wrap up any other questions.
So there are two people here with questions. So
Do you have any, with the leaky body, you had success treating on these items?
I have to search. Nothing. I can't with accuracy comment to it. I know that people with Parkinson's plus, which is MSA, PSP, and substance abuse dementia, use it and tell us that it helps them. I cannot tell you how. Because I can't know.
So my mum has a friend with Lewy body dementia. But she has one, and she gets very, very distressed. Shouts out. And when she had the beach band on, she's calm. But I think that's the only thing it's helped with her. So obviously, Lewy body is pretty, it's kind of got strong. But in terms of the anxiety, it seems to help.
There's a question. Yeah, so if you've had, so another question about DBS. First things first, if you've had DBS, do talk to a clinical team. Not every neurologist and MDS is going to have seen this, but there is the talking neurology at the moment. People are going into consultations looking better. The chances are you would have seen it. We know of informal conversations where neurologists are saying, try this, maybe even reduce your meds. Comment on that in a minute. But I've not known one person personally with DBS who said, been told not to use it, and many people with DBS who do use it with great success. It helps on top of the DBS, and many people who are going to have DBS who don't because they find it helps. So, and also works with pacemakers, but talk to a clinical team. We know of one person who was told not to use it, but it's non-invasive, no electrical pulses, no magnets. So not good for assassins to use on people. Sorry, so theory. Okay, I'm happy to share my theories. Yeah. Well, it's obviously going to be controversial. So I don't.
We're all.
Right. Well, let me tell you what I think, and I think I'm living proof of it, and I think I'm working this out. I'll try and do this quickly. I don't think Parkinson's is a lack of dopamine issue. I think it's more likely we got too much. I think that's why at first when they put the dopamine in us with the carbidopa, we get some forced action into our brains, but it's also why it eventually loses its efficacy. I think this is a frequency issue. I think there's a misalignment of frequencies in the body, in the brain. The brain does, they know the brain resonates at a certain frequency. 1.35 hertz in one part of the brain, which is exactly the same as our Beech Band. That was the affirmation of the Beech Band of everything I was about to say. So, if you have undiagnosed epilepsy, this is in our instruction manual, or if you have epilepsy, there's a chance that when you put the Beech Band on, epilepsy is a hyper alignment of all your brain frequencies. One or two people, maybe two, have immediately fitted. When they put it on, immediately touch their skin, they fit. Because it aligns their brain frequencies so powerfully. I think this is why the devices worked on me. I think my brain frequencies were out of whack. The brain is realigned. It starts to stick. The more you use it, you take the device off. Depending on stage of disease, how much unalignment there is, the slippage occurs after a period of time, maybe through stress, exhaustion, whatever, which explains why I only ever get the first symptom back. I don't get advanced symptoms back. I get the very first symptom back. Now, you might think that's hocus pocus, but actually there are lots of studies now going on about it. Charcot, 200 years ago, noticed that when people came out of the horse and carriage over the cobbles, their tremors were less. But everyone looked away to chemical solutions, to pharmaceutical solutions, and left what we call vibrotactile stimulation approaches behind. I've just ripped Charcot off. He didn't have printed circuit boards. I think this device going on your skin causes an inaction in your brain that brings the correction to it. Obviously it does. There's something else that happens to people. 2 or 3% of people, when they put this on, have a panic response. They feel nauseous and they panic. In nearly every single case of people who have that I've managed to speak to, they all either had a traumatic birth or a traumatic period in the room. Now, I did this because I felt that the brain would store memory of safety that would help our nervous systems, right, and help calm us, and also initiate the parasympathetic nerve. We're in fight or flight mode, maybe we can get into calm and comfort mode quickly. So the people who have that reaction, we tell them, hold it. I just devised this idea. Hold it for a second, day one, drop it. Next day, hold it for 10 seconds. Next day, 30 seconds. Train your brain that it's safe. After a couple of weeks, they're in it 20 minutes, half hour, maybe an hour, and they get one of the best clinical responses out of everybody. So I think this is frequency issues, parasympathetic nervous system issues. There are now clinicians and serious neurological researchers hypothesizing that we have too much dopamine. Those who get Parkinson's.
Where do I get this?
So the Beech Band, you buy through our website, which is beechband.com. And if you're interested in this app for the smartwatch, then it's beechband.com. Just the website, and you'll see, so buy here, you click it, and you go through it.
I just want to add something. What I've just said to you is a theory. I don't know. I'm just listening to my body and I'm looking at what's happening. What I do know is And our stats bear this out, and hear me right. None of you reduce meds on what I'm saying. Only if you talk to your neurologist. But our stats bear this out. As you reduce the meds and you increase speech band, people get better. So that also leads me to think it's not necessarily a dopamine issue. And I'll tell you something else. I'm off the meds, but Mark will tell you I was flatlining. I was depressed. I had apathy. I didn't want to get out of my chair. Now I'm like an unstoppable nuisance. I'm like, my joy is back. Like I get a buzz out of things again, and they're gone. And I'm not getting that through dopamine.
He's exhausted. So I am conscious of time, and the most powerful message for people who are wondering about, should I buy this or is it just a kind of gimmick, is people who use it, who is helping, telling the world that it's helping. So if any of you are happy just to literally film 30 seconds to a minute of you giving your kind of positive stories like yours, Don, could we do those at the end of this? So I'll just be in this corner, and anyone who's happy to come and say, but we will put it on our social media, so it'll be shown to the world.
Well, and also, some of you will just naturally mention your symptoms or condition. If you're talking to us and you don't mind us using it to help people find us, if you just say, I'm using it because it helps me, and not without mentioning symptom or disease. I know it sounds bizarre, but they say, I know I feel better in my body, or I'm loose, I'm able to walk better, without mentioning I've got Parkinson's or this or that, the other.
Yeah.
Then we stay compliant. You know, so I don't say, oh, my tremors are stopped. I'd say I've got more control over my hand. Or so we can help you with that, but I don't want you to think we're being weird. The reason we're doing this is so we don't charge you $2,000 for it.
Yeah.
So we need your help.
Shall we just do 2 more questions, and then we'll do. There's 2 hands up there, and then 1 hand up there. Then we'll close.
Results with ADHD or
Yeah.
anybody tell you about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, clearly it's not helped my ADHD because I'm a nightmare. But yes, so many people with ADHD find that it helps them become centered and focused and calm.
Meds, then maybe.
Yeah, actually, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
I was falling off.
I have a meeting with my neurologist in like a couple of hours. Do I really have to do it? Just me that?
Yeah, and you know.
Well, so the guys here have some for people to trial. So I guess you better check with them that they're happy for you to bring it back in.
Going where
Sure, you know,
Yeah.
but I really would like to just try it, see, if it.
Remember, for some people, it takes months before that impact happens. And there were times when you're wearing it, you feel worse. There were times I was wearing it, I felt fatigued, like my body was fighting a virus. All of that makes sense to me now, but I persisted with it through it. I can't believe how when I've got videos of me going, I just cannot comprehend how I am. I'm crying.
Right.
But
And to that message Carl said earlier, 25% of people it's immediate. If you're the kind of person you put it on and it's not immediate and go, it doesn't work, well, you're one of the 75%. So, and we had lots of people who say I was a cynic, my wife bought it, my husband bought it, my friend bought it. I just thought, but I put it on and tried, and in a few weeks, like, wow, I can't believe it. So, but cynicism and questioning is absolutely right. It's fine, but give it a decent go. That's the only thing that does.
Can I ask something quick? Just real quick, did it help did you have a problem with smelling or?
oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, so just very quickly on smell. For a long time, I had a reduction in smell. Now, stiffness and slow movement dominant aren't as impacted as much. Tremor dominant tends to be impacted more, but I definitely had a reduction in smell, and I can smell everything now.
Really?
Yeah,
Bad still.
Is that a good or a bad thing? We've had lots of people say tastes come back. This is the last question. I think we then need to call this.
Do you have a theory on why the 25% don't work?
Yeah, I do. Okay, why did 25% not work? 1, they give up too quickly. 2, they're wearing in the wrong place. 3, their condition might be psychosomatic, because we're talking about a lot of conditions here, not just Parkinson's. And 4, no medicine works for everyone. But we're the only one who'll give you your prescription money back. It doesn't work.
Yeah, what's about your warranty?
Warranty?
That would help you.
Yeah, so we have 100-day guarantee that it is after 100 days you've been using and it's really not worked for you, we'll refund you. So that's a standard thing for everyone. And because you're in the US and we haven't yet worked out how to get the bands back to us cheaply, you can even keep the bands. So it's got a 6-month parts warranty. So if the battery fails or the motor fails within 6 months, again, we'll refund you and then you can buy a new one. After that, it's up to you. It's asking an awful lot of the battery and the motor to be going bam, 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 like that for 7 hours a day. So I think if you get a year out of one, that's probably pretty good.
So it's $109. If you get 6-7 months out of that, and it's getting you walking, talking, moving, breathing, sleeping better, that's the result.
Yeah, I think we do need to stop.
Right. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, and I will say that I reached out to Beech Band support to help someone. We had a battery stop working and they helped us immediately, got us a refund, and we got a new one ordered. So they were helpful. They were very helpful. But yeah, so if you guys have more questions, we're going to go ahead and stop the recording. And if you guys have more questions, I'm sure that Mark and Carl are going to be hanging out for a little bit. But we do have a couple of these to try that they donated to us. So if you're interested and you're not ready to purchase it yourself, go ahead and let myself or Sarisa know and we can get you guys on the list. There's probably going to be a lot of people who come to us and want to try it right now. So full disclosure, there might be a wait list. But we're excited to have you try it. And thank you again for being here, Carl and Mark.
If anyone can agree to be filmed.
Yes, and if anybody wants to be filmed, go ahead and see Mark.
No, just change the stuff. Change the stuff. It's changeable.